How we doing? How we doing on this fine day? It's your favorite podcast. This is Double OT. We just made it through 4 quarters of regulation. Now we're in Double OT. I just hit John Roder in the corner for a three, sending us to Double OT. Switched up the intro a little bit because I am running solo today, and this is Riley Mears, and I will be your host. And we got a lot to talk about. And I would just like to issue an apology. I know we've been on mute the last couple weeks. Just we're high school kids. We got a lot going on. So, the content, it's hard to do. It's hard to get to. And, with school, with sports, it's hard. But I'm back, and I'm hoping to, get back on track with how we were uploading previously. John, unable, he's got a lot going on. So we're going to try to get the two of us on soon. We're trying to. But, I have free time. I'm alone. It's Saturday night. There's so much going on in the sports world. I said I need to get on, and I need to record. So we're recording an episode here today. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to have two separate episodes going out. This will obviously be on Apple, but please tune in on YouTube with the video. You can see me. It's going to be great stuff. Tune in on YouTube on Double OT. There's going to be clips of it on TikTok. It's going to be on our Instagram. We're doing a lot of good stuff on Instagram. Our Instagram and our TikTok are still active. Even when we're not posting, we're still uploading stuff over there. So go check it out, Double OT. But we're going to get right into it. And it's going to be two separate episodes. I'm going to do an NBA/World Cup episode, and this one's just going to be all dedicated to football. Both coming out, should be out Sunday, Eastern time. So, first, let's get to the business. We're approaching Week 13. Week 13 is upon us. And, we're just looking at Week 12. And Week 12 told us a lot about the season. At least for me, it did. The first thing I want to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the San Francisco 49ers told us a lot with their performance in Week 12, being the New Orleans Saints 13-0. And what I would say about, I'm saying nil. All this World Cup, I'm saying nil. But with San Francisco, looking at a program, looking at a team that may struggle offensively at times. And I've been saying on there, I've been on record saying, and I've been saying it ever since San Francisco's been clicking recently, that they will win the NFC. I said it 5 weeks ago, and I still stand by it. And I think the Eagles, the Vikings are all going to have better records. And the San Francisco probably going to be like a 3 seed. But in a playoff game, no one in the NFC is beating them. And the only team I see beating them is going to be the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. However, their offense can be shaky. Obviously, the quarterback play isn't there. Garoppolo, and I think Garoppolo's a very underrated quarterback. And I think this is a huge year for him. And I think he's impressing. But, you got Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, Elijah Mitchell, McCaffrey, Juszczyk. So many guys. But their offense can get stagnant. And I think that could be the issue with them offensively. But defensively, New Orleans Saints didn't score a single point the entire game. Yeah, New Orleans offense is not very powerful, led by Andy Dalton by any means. But at the end of the day, they're a professional football team with guys like Kamara, Chris Olave. Andy Dalton's a capable starting quarterback. 0 points. 0 points. San Francisco's scary, man. San Francisco's scary. I would not want to play. If I'm any team, I do not want to play San Francisco. But this coming up week, this Week 13 matchup they have against Miami is a huge one. That's honestly my most exciting game of the week. There's so many good games in Week 13, but that game is ringing in my head. San Francisco, Miami. I've been arguing with Jacob. We all know Jacob. Who's the better team? He thinks Miami might be the best team in the league. Not falling on the hype yet, and it's going to be a big matchup. That matchup's going to tell us a lot. Miami, San Francisco. So I'm excited for that. Week 13 is going to be an amazing week. And when you're looking at Week 13, we got Minnesota versus New York. And this is the test here for Mike White. Obviously, we saw Week 12. We know what happened with Zach Wilson. We know what happened. We've all heard about it. And I like the decision. And I think, depending on how he plays this week, everyone's saying, you can't bench a kid like Zach. You can't bench a young talent. It's going to ruin his confidence maybe forever. And I completely agree with that. Benching a guy, we saw it happen with Wentz, in Philadelphia. Benching a guy like that just ruins his confidence forever, and he'll never be the same after that. Especially when he's sidelined like that. But maybe it doesn't matter because maybe Mike White is just better. He looks better. The team loves him. The fans love him. All his teammates are just loved by him. Or love him. He's a better, more accurate thrower of the football. It's just clear. Garrett Wilson just looks better with him on the field. Elijah Moore, who was sitting out because he never got the ball, the Manning a trade. He sees the end zone. He looks great. 3 touchdowns. I mean, and again, the New York Jets are a very good football team. I mean, I've never seen the team nail a draft like they did this year. Sauce Gardner is going to be a Pro Bowl corner as a rookie, one of the best corners in the league already. He's ridiculous. Breece Hall is, honestly, you can argue a top 12 talent at the RB spot already, and he would be in the discussion as a top 10 running back this season if he didn't get hurt, and he was. Nailed that pick. Garrett Wilson looks like a very strong receiver. I mean, Jermaine Johnson has been phenomenal as well. The Jets have just been all around great with their rookies, and I mean, Mike White has should been the ball, but now you play Minnesota, 9-2, number 2 record in the entire league, or number 3. They're right there with Kansas City. This is a big week, and then after Minnesota, you have to play Buffalo. So back-to-back, probably the 2 toughest games you'll have all season. That's gonna be the real test. I mean, Mike White did play great against a Chicago Bears team who didn't have Justin Fields, an abysmal team. If he comes out and drops an egg against Minnesota, then now you gotta make a decision. Now you really gotta. But I don't think he will. I think he'll play good enough, and I don't expect them to beat Minnesota. But I mean, Minnesota and Buffalo is 2 back-to-back games. But this is where Mike White's time right now against the Minnesota. I'm very excited for that game. I mean, you got Giants versus Washington as well. That's another game that tells a lot for the Giants and the Commanders. I mean, if the Giants lose this game and now they still have to play, they lose this game to the Commanders. Now they're 7-5. They've officially lost 3 in a row, and you've just lost to Detroit and you lost to Dallas, and now you have to. Now you have to play the Eagles 2 more times. You play Eagles next week, week 11, and you have to play them again at the end of the year, and you have to play Minnesota, and you have to play the Commanders again. I mean, you really question if all the Giants could get into the playoffs, and I know they're frauds. I know, as a Giants fan, I'll admit it. But I mean, Washington is hot right now. That Washington's hot. So we'll see. That's a big game for the NFC East. And I mean, other notable games, especially a game that we'll get to because I want to expand on it, is Chiefs Bengals. We just talked about Miami San Francisco. That game just going to tell us a lot about both teams. But Kansas City Cincinnati, huge game. Cincinnati beat Kansas City twice last year, ended their season. Cincinnati's getting hot. I think Cincinnati has cemented themselves. We know where Cincinnati is. And I think that's just going to be a great game. It's just going to be a good game. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think we'll get to that. And, man, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. And for Kansas City, I think, you're 9-2. You got no pressure going into Cincinnati. But this is going to tell us a lot about Cincinnati. And this is just going to be an exciting game, along with that Miami-San Francisco game. And Tampa Bay on Monday night against New Orleans, a must-win game for their season. And Deshaun Watson with Cleveland returning to Houston. And I have a take. Ready? I have a take, and I'm going to say it right here on Double OT podcast. When Deshaun Watson comes back, are we going to forgetting what this Browns team is? They have the best running back. Nick Chubb is the best running back in football. They have the best running back in football behind the best offensive line in football. The best offense after the Eagles. I'll say the second best offensive line. Second best offensive line in football. The best running back in football. A very strong receiver core with a very competent, good wide receiver 1 in Amari Cooper. And a defense that's not been great this year, but, it can get by. Now you add Deshaun Watson. Do we forget how good he was on the Texans? Deshaun Watson was a top 3 quarterback at his peak on the Texans. And he was a top 3 quarterback when his wide receiver 1 was Will Fuller, not even DeAndre Hopkins. Do we forget that he was up 24-0 on Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs at one point? And, I mean, a guy of that talent doesn't just forget how to play football. It's not like he's come back from injury. He's not come back from an ACL and an Achilles tear. He just wasn't playing football because of off-the-field issues. I'm going to take Deshaun Watson, when he makes his return, can really, the Browns can win out and squeeze season to playoffs. And if they do, I would not want to see them. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to make it to playoffs right now with the way the AFC is. They're 4-7. But I could see them winning out with that team, man. That team, and even next year when they're reloaded. But I think Deshaun Watson will cement himself as the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL by the end of the season. And he will remind us how good he is. Because he's that guy, I'm telling you he is. I mean, if he could do it with Will Fuller, he could definitely do it with Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper. I'm telling you that. third best quarterback in the NFL by the end. And Mahomes, Allen, and Deshaun Watson will be the top 3 quarterbacks in the league for the next 5 years at least. I mean, we're gonna have we're gonna get to it, but we're gonna have a group of 5 quarterbacks that are gonna dominate this dominate this league for the next 5 years, and Deshaun Watson's gonna be in third on that list. So it's a big game though. He's returning to Houston. He's gonna get booed a lot. It's gonna be interesting. And Philadelphia plays Tennessee. That's another notable game. Exciting game. Big game for Philadelphia. Tennessee's a good team, so we'll see how Philly does. I expect them to win that though, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee squeaks out a close one there. So notable games going on Sunday. Very exciting. In the 1 o'clock window, you got that Cleveland-Houston game. You got that Philly game. But, 4 o'clock, you got Miami, San Francisco, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Chargers, Raiders. So it's exciting. It's going to be an exciting window of football for sure. But continuing on, next thing I want to talk about, it's been a while, is we all talk about Brady and Manning, right? Brady and Peyton. And I want to propose. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. We all know this. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. And he will be the best quarterback in the league for the next decade. And we saw it with Josh Allen. There's going to be so many quarterbacks. It could be Hurts next season. It could be Tua, Burrow. It happened with Josh Allen this year that are going to go on that nice 10-game run where they're just look so elite and everyone's like, this is the guy. He's better than Mahomes. And then we just realized that we were just know that it's always been Mahomes. And we saw that happen with Allen. Everyone wanted to compare, and now we all come to our senses and say, no, it's Mahomes. And I think it will be like that. I think it's crazy to me that Tyreek Hill, everyone said Tyreek Hill's production is going to fall off with a worse quarterback. And now Tyreek Hill's having maybe the best season of his career with Tua. And then everyone said Mahomes' production is going to fall off without Tyreek Hill. Now Mahomes looks even better without Tyreek Hill. And the Chiefs' offense is just as good. And he's the front runner for MVP by far. It's crazy to me. I think it's just credit to both of those guys. I think Tyreek, was elite with Mahomes. Mahomes was elite with Tyreek, but they were both just elite players. I think Tyreek can produce with anyone because he's just that kind of receiver, and I think Mahomes is just that kind of quarterback. But when looking at Mahomes, Brady and Manning, and you got 3 quarterbacks in the league to me that give that Brady-Manning comparison with Mahomes being Brady. But which of those guys will it be? The top 3, obviously the one that comes to most people's heads is Mahomes and Allen, Josh Allen. That's the next Brady and Manning. But is it Mahomes and Herbert in the same division? Is it Mahomes and Burrow? Or is it another one? Maybe you think it's Mahomes and Lamar. Maybe you think it's Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence. Maybe you think it's Mahomes and Tua. Maybe you think it's not even Mahomes. Maybe you think it's Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I don't know. But to me, I think the next Brady and Manning for the next decade is Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And I don't know if Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. And if I'm being real, I don't think he's a better quarterback than Josh Allen. And Deshaun Watson, there was a moment in time where Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes were the next Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. They were. And they already were battling out in the playoffs. They already were having big-time games. They already had a lot of respect for each other. And Deshaun Watson was maybe the second best quarterback in the league. You had Aaron Rodgers, Brady, right? But he was there. And a lot of people said that if the roles were switched and Deshaun got drafted to the Chiefs and Mahomes got drafted to the Texans, that Deshaun would have been the best quarterback in the league. That's how good he was at one time. So if Deshaun comes back and he returns to that elite level, this might change. But for now, give me Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Before I talk about why I think it's Mahomes and Burrow, I'm going to tell you why I think it's not Mahomes and Allen, because I still think Allen is a better quarterback. And again, this could change. But throughout the career, yes, Allen beat Mahomes this year in a close game in the regular season, but Mahomes has owned Allen so far in the postseason. In 2020, they played in the AFC Championship. It wasn't particularly close from the whole game. The Chiefs kind of blew them out. Then they played last year, and it was an amazing game, one of the best games I've ever watched live, and Mahomes won. Managed to pull it out. Allen, has been unsuccessful in his last 3 playoff runs. Mahomes has been very successful, and Josh Allen, he's Joe Burrow's a lot younger, and I mean I'm looking at Allen Mahomes, and I just think to me that will never really be a battle. I think they'll be the top two quarterbacks, yeah. I think Josh Allen will be the second best guy. I think Mahomes is going to finish the best ever, and I think Josh Allen's going to be a top 10 dude when it's all said and done. So those might be the best two quarterbacks, yeah. But I think that's Brady Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is that second best quarterback like Josh Allen. Like talent-wise, he's better than Joe Burrow. Like I'd say talent-wise, Aaron Rodgers is better than Peyton Manning. But Aaron Rodgers wasn't there in the big games. He wasn't winning with Brady. They weren't competing for Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers was winning MVPs and, had the ultimate talent, but he wasn't the winner the way Burrow is. I look at Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and I say that's a winning quarterback. That's a guy that's not only beating Mahomes in the regular season, that's a guy that ended Mahomes' season last year as his second-year quarterback, coming off an ACL tear in his rookie season. Beats Mahomes in the AFC Championship. Now we're gonna see it again this week. We'll see what happens. I also think Burrow's a guy that's gonna have receivers around him for many years. Now I'm questioning the Bills' receiving core. Obviously Diggs is that guy, but I think that there's at least 40 dudes I can name receivers in the league better than Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis is extremely overrated. I think he's a very hit or miss. He's a good deep threat, but that's it. He's not a reliable wide receiver too. And there's a lot of receivers that are better than him, and I think Gabe Davis gets a lot more credit, too much credit. Dawson Knox, I mean, they paid him. He's an all right tight end. Doesn't really see that much, doesn't make many big plays. I mean, when Diggs isn't clicking, that offense is pretty stagnant. And the run game is just Josh Allen. They don't even run the ball well. So I think Joe Burrow, I mean, you look at the weapons he has, and even, depending on what happens to those weapons, him and Jamar Chase have a foundation that's different. The connection they have is something that cannot be, that cannot be copied. That cannot be recreated. That's a college connection. And Joe Burrow is a guy that is about that business. That's a winning quarterback that can go into Kansas City and beat Patrick Mahomes. That's what I see with Burrow. And he's younger than Allen. And I think that is the next Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. That right there. I think Josh Allen's better than Joe Burrow, but I think that comparison is Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. And not Josh Herbert, Justin Herbert is another guy that might come into conversation, that might be named. And yeah, Justin Herbert is in Mahomes' division, and Herbert will always be a thorn in Mahomes' side. And a lot of people even thought that this was Herbert's division this year. And yeah, I'm going to give Herbert the benefit of the doubt. His team's extremely hurt. J.C. Jackson's out for the season. Joey Bosa has been dealing with injury. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have been hurt all year. When Mike Williams was on the field, Keenan wasn't. When Keenan was on the field, Mike Williams hasn't been. And, if he had all his guys healthy and the defense was healthy, and I also think Brandon Staley is a bad head coach. I think his time will be up soon, and I think Brandon Staley is holding back Herbert, and I think he's a bad decision maker. I don't like Staley either. I think his coach issues and his team is very hurt, so I think that's why he's had an underwhelming season. I do think if everyone was healthy, he'd be putting out the MVP like we all expected. But he's been good. He's only been good. He's been strong this year, but he hasn't been brilliant. Right, so that's why he's getting a lot of criticism. And the Chargers just haven't won big games. I mean, the Chargers are currently 6-5, I believe, right? 6-5 it is. Let me just check real quick. The Chargers are, they're 6-5, and they very well still probably will sneak into the playoffs. God, probably very well will sneak into the playoffs, but when everyone's healthy, Herbert is that dude. But so far throughout their career, Mahomes just owns Herbert. They've had so many close games. I mean, right in the beginning of the year, they played on Thursday Night Football. I think it was like week 2, and it looked like. And Herbert hurt his ribs, and it was a very close game. Mahomes got done. And just the other week, they played again. I think it was Monday night, or it was Sunday night. It was another primetime game. And, Herbert was playing great, and the Chargers looked like they had him home drive downfield. It was game, and then Herbert threw a pick. So, yeah, and he's just owned Herbert so far. And I just think Herbert's always going to be in his division, and I just think you can't compare. I think Mahomes is just a way better quarterback. Although I think Herbert's good. It's going to be a top 5 quarterback for years to come. I'm looking at the top 5 quarterbacks for the next 5 years. Tua and Hurts are making their name known, but and Lamar will be there. But for me, it's gonna for the next 5 years, it's gonna be Mahomes, Allen, Deshaun Watson, Burrow, and Herbert, top five. Then you're gonna have guys like Lamar, Hurts, Tua, right? The league's in great hands, but those five guys are staples of the NFL for the next 5 plus. Five is just at least guaranteed, but it's gonna be longer than five. I mean, Justin Herbert's in his third season, Burrow's in his third season, Mahomes is what 26, 27. Allen's younger. Deshaun Watson, same age as Mahomes. Those guys are gonna run the league. But I think that's the next Brady Manning for me, and that's I think that's a great topic to talk about it, but it's definitely debatable. So now we're approaching week 13. We have been on mute, so we're gonna go over some links. We're gonna go over some rankings. And we're gonna go over some rankings. So the top 10 teams right now. We're gonna start at 10. We're gonna go to 1. I want to start off with some honorable mentions. I got the Titans and the Jets. The Titans just have a great coach over there. They play hard. I think Vrabel is a great coach, and everyone is that doubted Vrabel is getting woken up this year with what he's doing. I mean, he is. He wins with everything he's got. I mean, Vrabel took a rookie Malik Willis in his second start while Tannehill was out to Kansas City on a primetime game and almost beat Kansas City with a second-year Malik Willis. It's impressive, and I think the culture over there is good, and those guys play hard. And defensively, especially that front seven, has been great for them all year. And obviously, you have your guy in Derrick Henry, and you have a good enough quarterback. You don't have great weapons, but I think Treylon Burks is a big piece for them. And what he did in Week 12, he had a great performance. Week 12 showed a lot of that upside potential that he has. And I think with him waking up, it's only going up for him. That's going to be a big piece for them. They got Robert Woods, Austin Hooper, I believe, also is a tight end, and obviously Derrick Henry. You're running the ball with Derrick Henry. He's not going anywhere. He's been the staple of your offense. But I think Treylon Burks is going to be a big piece, and defensively they've been great. So 7-4, I want to give an honorable mention to them. Same thing with the Jets. I just talked about the Jets. The Jets have everything built in place. They're only going to get better. They're so young. I love what they're doing in New York, and then they've gotten big wins. They've just been inconsistent, and it just all comes down to the quarterback, right? It comes down to the quarterback, and it comes down to the offense. If Mike White really is that guy, and he has another big game against a team like Minnesota, I will put them in the top 10. But for now, I think I'd have them at 11 and Tennessee at 12. But at number 10 for now, I'm gonna go with the Ravens, a team that I previously had number 7 a couple weeks ago. I think the game against the Jaguars, cemented their issue. They can't hold leads defensively. Their defense has struggled to hold leads. They've crumbled a lot. Then the receivers are just terrible. They have no one catching the ball now. Bateman, who was supposed to be their number 1 receiver, is out for the season. Mark Andrews is dealing with injury now. The only guy that you really have, the only reliable, strong guy that can catch the ball on that team, Mark Andrews, he's out. He's been out consistently with injury. Lamar is, and their running backs are hurt. Gus Edwards has fallen off a cliff. J.K. Dobbins hurt. You really have just an injured offense and just a low, underwhelming offense. Lamar is just doing everything he can, and defensively they can't hold leads, and they've blown leads, and they haven't been explosive. And I think they're still in the top 10. And I mean, they're still 7-4. I think they're 7-4, I believe. But still, I think I'm just trying to see them. They're 7-4. They'll still be a playoff team. They're still a strong team. I think Lamar is a very good quarterback, but they're just not elite. They're just not elite. They're just roster. It's just not elite. And coming at number 9, I had the Chargers. I still have faith in the Chargers. I think Mike Williams coming back now. Mike Williams coming back with Keenan. Both of those guys being on the field. Eckler's having an amazing season. Herbert is, once his weapons are around, I do think he's struggled without his weapons. We just spoke on him, but he's a very good quarterback. Defensively, their defense is just hurt. Their defense is hurt, but it'll get by, even with all the injuries they have. And Staley's their issue right now, I think, but they're 6-5. They have so much talent. I don't see a world where they don't turn it around or they don't just get better. So I have the Chargers at number 9. I just have faith in that amazing roster they've built. And at number 8, for me, give me the Dolphins. And this might seem a little low to people. I know a lot of people are high on the Dolphins. I know Jacob sees this. He's going to freak out. I got the Dolphins at number 8, but I think the Dolphins are the 8th best team in the league. I think Tua is doing a great job. I think he's getting overhyped. I think he's getting extremely overhyped. Yes, Tua's having a great year. Yes, his numbers are ridiculous, but he is the most easy to play in loaded offense with a genius of a head coach. There are so many quarterbacks that would thrive in a situation. And I'd argue that Trevor Lawrence would be just as good if he was in this situation. And honestly, I want to throw this in as a side take from my boy John Broder, who's not here right now. Give me Trevor Lawrence after what he did. And I'm saying this off of that game against Baltimore. How he played and what he did in that last drive with no timeouts. Give me him over Jalen Hurts for the next 3 years. Next year, when the Jaguars get a little, the guys, progress, the guy's team gets better, and he gets a legitimate Calvin Ridley. Now he's throwing the ball to Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk and all those other guys. Watch out for Trevor Lawrence. I'm taking him over the next 3 years over Jalen Hurts. I said it. Jalen Hurts is a way better situation. That's what that separates them. I think Jalen Hurts is in the same situation as Tua. I mean, yes, he's playing great, and he's probably the second for MVP right now, but look, he has the best offensive line in football, a top 10 receiver, and a very good wide receiver too, with a top 5 tight end, and an amazing running game with a great head coach, and a top 5 defense, and the best offensive line. I mean, could you get a better situation than Jalen Hurts? Can't. And I'm telling you, if Trevor Lawrence was in Jalen Hurts' situation or Tua, he'd be better, and we'd be saying he's better. So, just about Tua and Hurts. I just wanted to humble them real quick, but I think the Dolphins are at number 8. They're very explosive. They're a very good team. I mean, defensively they're strong. They're not bad, and I mean, offensively they're one of the best in the league. So, no disrespect to the Dolphins, they're very good and they could turn a lot of heads. But the big thing with the Dolphins is a lot of their wins have been against bad teams. Like they haven't beaten a good team, and many weeks. Like every week goes by, they beat up on a bad team, and they just beat up on Houston. They beat up on the Bears. They're just beating bad teams right now, and to make it's just we're overhyping them a little too much. And at number 7, I have Minnesota, another team that is 9-2, and yeah, that win that they just got against who was the team they just defeated in Week 12? That win they picked up in Week 12 against New England was a big win. Kirk looked good, their offense looked good, but that loss against Dallas obviously was a tough one. I mean, I get it. You had a huge game against Buffalo. You leave it on the field, you beat Buffalo, but then I understand the loss to Dallas is very good, and we'll get to them, but you lose 40-3. 40-3. I think they're inconsistent. I really don't have faith in Kirk Cousins at all. I think he's another guy that's the product of being in a loaded offense with Adam Thielen, T.J. Hockenson, and Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the league, a great wide receiver too, a really good tight end, and Dalvin Cook. I mean, damn. I think Kirk Cousins is overrated, and I don't trust the Vikings to get it done in the playoffs. That's why I have them at 7. At 6, I got Dallas. An all-around really strong team. Throughout their best run to running the football. It's clear that Tony Pollard is a very talented running back, better than Zeke. But even Zeke's seen the end zone. Zeke's running the ball well. Pollard's running the ball ridiculously well. They're just when they run the ball at a high level, they're the hardest team to beat. They have a very strong O-line. They always have. Defensively, they're one of the best in the league. I might argue they had the best defense in the league this year. I mean, Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in the league right now. The best. Their secondary is strong. Trayvon Diggs is turning a lot of heads, and I want to give him a pat on the back. Shout out Trayvon Diggs. You really just shut me up in every way. The one thing I'd say about them is I don't like McCarthy. I don't. I think he's just going to continue holding back. I don't think he's good at coach at all. But Dak is like a top 12 quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I don't think he's a superstar. But he's a good, strong starting quarterback in this league, and you can win a championship with him. And I mean, he's got plenty of weapons. He's got CeeDee, he's got Michael Gallup, he's got Dalton Schultz, and I mean, especially if they get Odell, I think the Cowboys are an all-around strong team. So give me the Cowboys at 6, especially with that huge win. They just beat the Giants on Thanksgiving, and they dominated the Vikings. They're only heating up now. So good things to come for the Cowboys. And when they play the Eagles, whenever they play the Eagles next, I don't know what week exactly, that's a huge game. But at number 5, we got the Bengals. Bengals were up and down. Now they pick up another big win, and they're 7-4, and I'm ready to put them back in the top 5. Them and Dallas are close. Them and Minnesota are close. All these teams, I'd say from 8 to 3 are all really close. Like, honestly, the team I have at number 8, you can put at number 3, and it would make sense. Like, it's really close. But I think, for me at least, the Bengals are still number 5. We saw what they did last year. That was no fluke. Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback. They're doing this without Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase is only coming back That's their number one weapon. T. Higgins looks very good. They have, Joe Mixon's also been dealing with injury. The line's it's getting better. Obviously, still not the best, but the Bengals are the Bengals. They went to the Super Bowl last year. That was no joke. We know what they can do, and they have a superstar quarterback. They have, in my opinion, right now, the third best quarterback in the NFL. I wouldn't want to see the Bengals. I wouldn't want to see them in the playoffs. And I think they're the number 5. Them and the Cowboys are all really close. But at number 4, I got the 49ers. 49ers just talked about how good they are. No one wants to see them in the playoffs. They're going to win the NFC. They're loaded on offense. They're loaded on defense. We talked about how good they are. Give me the 49ers at 4. And my top 3, I got the Bills at 3, I got the Eagles at 2, and I got the Chiefs at 1. The Eagles are at number 2, the best team in the NFC for now. I mean, they're all around so sound. We just talked about how good they are. They're just another 10-1. There's no signs of slowing down. They are a very good football team. Bills at number 3. Still the faith in the Bills. Josh Allen is still elite. The offense is still strong. They just beat New England on Monday night on Thursday Night Football very comfortably. So now they're 9-3, and I have faith in in Buffalo. They're not going anywhere. They still have the second best quarterback in the NFL, and I think they're getting a little too much hate because of those losses. And at number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs, the best quarterback in the NFL, hands down. The best tight end in the NFL. I mean, that duo it wows me every week. Somehow their offense has gotten even better without Tyreek Hill. Now you got Kadarius Toney catching the ball. You got Juju Smith-Schuster. You got Watson. I don't even know that guy. Sky Moore catching the ball. You got so many guys catching the ball on that team. And Marquise Valdes-Scantling. And you got Travis Kelce, the best tight end ever. Honestly, he might be the best to ever do it when it's all said and done. With Andy Reid and that defense and with Chris Jones at the front, Kansas City's the best. And they will continue to be. And I just want to run through these real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on them. My top 5 running backs and top 5 receivers going into Week 13. For running backs, I'm going to give my honorable mentions to Josh Jacobs, who I know a lot of people want to see in the top 5, and I'm very close between him and number 5. Josh Jacobs just had one of the best running back performances I've ever seen against Seattle in Week 12. Scored 50 fantasy points. I have in fantasy. I know anyone that else did that probably won you their week. Honorable mention to Josh Jacobs, and then Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, and Joe Mixon. Aaron Jones has been the one steady piece of that Packers offense this year. He's been great. Great receiving back. Catches a lot of passes. Runs the ball well. Aaron Jones is a consistent running back. I have him in the top 7. And then Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon, both very strong. Dalvin Cook's had a kind of slow this year, but not a bad year. His team's doing great. We know what Dalvin Cook could do. He's a very explosive runner. Very strong. Right outside the top 5 for me. And Joe Mixon as well. Joe Mixon's very strong. We know what he can do, but I just don't think the top 5. And number 5, by Jonathan Taylor. And yes, people are going to think I'm crazy for saying he's better than Josh Jacobs. I still think he's a better running back than Josh Jacobs. To deal with injury all year, the line was shaky in the beginning of the year. The coaches aren't good at either. But he's getting back into it. He's getting back into his groove, and he's still an elite runner of the football. I honestly, this might come back to bite me. I still think he's a top 5 talent. I do. I'm not ready to say Josh Jacobs is better than him yet. And at number 4, I got Christian McCaffrey. Now he's on the 49ers. Great receiving back. One of the most versatile weapons in all of football. Could run the ball well, can catch the ball well. Just a couple weeks ago, first player since 2005 to throw a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and run a touchdown in the same game. He's elite. We know that. It's just about being on the field. But he hasn't been putting up crazy numbers, but I think he fits sound at number 4. Number 3, we have Derrick Henry. Continues to impress every year, continues to impress every week. The best overall runner of the football. It's impossible to tackle him. He's the heart of the Titans offense. The reason the Titans offense maintains consistency. The reason they're 7-4. Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. And I will say, I think he gets a little overrated. I think he pads his stats in his weak division. Every time he plays the Colts, every time he plays the Texans twice, he plays Jacksonville, he has monster games. And there was one point in the season where 60+% of his yards all came against division opponents who were all terrible. So yeah, but Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. He's not leaving the number 3 spot. Now number 2 and 1, I got Saquon at 2, Nick Chubb at 1. Saquon at 2 might seem a little biased because he's had a couple rough weeks recently, but I don't take it away from him. He's been so good all year. He's so consistent. You're looking at a Giants offense that has receivers right now. Kenny Galladay's not even on the field. They lost Kadarius Toney. Sterling Shepard's hurt. The receivers are Darius Slayton is their wide receiver 1, who on some teams would be the wide receiver 3 or 4. You got Isaiah Hodgins catching the ball. Bellinger, the tight end, is hurt. Gadde's useless. The receivers for the Giants are absolutely abysmal. Wan'Dale Robinson has been strong, but he's also dealing with injury. So a team that's 7-4 that has no business being 7-4, all off the back of Saquon. That man has been great all year, single-handedly carrying an offense that's so abysmal without him. And if they didn't have him on the field, the Giants would be a below 500 team confidently. Give me Saquon. And talent-wise, if we're going just who's the best running back overall, talent-wise, Saquon is the best. But that's really close because at number 1 we have Nick Chubb. I think he's the best overall runner of the football. I mean, the Browns stay relevant because of him. He's just the best overall runner. You can't take that away from him. And yes, he has a great line, but he's so hard to tackle. He's very elusive. He's such a strong runner. I think Nick Chubb is the best pound for pound running back. He's always consistent. I think Nick Chubb locked up the number 1 spot for me this year. And for receivers, I want to give an honorable mention to Debo. Obviously, season-wise and stats-wise, he's not in the top 5. I just still think because of his ceiling and talent, he deserves an honorable mention. Ja'Marr Chase, who very well could be in the top 5, but he's been hurt, and I think he'd be number 6. And A.J. Brown, who's having a good year. He's been a little inconsistent, but another guy that his ceiling could be in the top 5. Number 5, I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. I know he's hurt right now. I know he's out for the season. I know the Rams stink, but he deserves the flowers. I mean, we're really going to say that the guy who won the Triple Crown last year was hands down the best receiver, who won the Triple Crown and made big play after big play in the playoffs, won the Super Bowl, had the game-winning catch in the Super Bowl, had the game-winning catch in the divisional round, won the Triple Crown, had the best wide receiver season ever, and this year was the wide receiver 1 and in all of fantasy, and led the league in receiving yards and was the focal point of an offense that now shouldn't even be on the field. Deserves a number 5 spot, and he'd be higher if he wasn't hurt. And at number 4, I got Stephon Diggs. Great every year. He's having a huge year this year. It's when he's not clicking, the Bills aren't clicking. He's the only reliable receiving option on that team. So talented. He's no corner can check him. He embarrassed Jair Alexander. He's killed Jalen Ramsey. I mean, Stephon Diggs is an elite receiver. I have him at number 4 right now. At number 3, I have Tyreek Hill. So unguardable. He's having an amazing wide receiver season. He's projected to be the offensive player of the year. And I know number 3 might seem low to some people, but I think Tyreek is an amazing running back, amazing receiver, most unguardable player. I just think there's just 2 guys better than him, and it's so close. And at number 2, I have Devontae. I think the Raiders are so bad, and it's not Devontae's fault. You look at Devontae's numbers; he's clearly a top 5 receiver. He's been going off recently too. He's been hot. He's the whole offense. Him and Jacobs. I mean, those 2 guys are having amazing years. It's just Derek Carr and that Raiders team is abysmal right now. So we're taking credit away from Devontae, who was the consensus wide receiver 1 for the last 3 years. Still an amazing route runner. Still just amazing hands. The focal point of the offense. So unguardable. I still think Devontae's number 2, and I just don't think that his team not performing well, you can take that away from him. And at number 1, I have Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is just this year. I mean, if you're going to leave him out of your top 3, I don't understand how you can. He's the entire Vikings offense. After you make catches like the one in Buffalo, like you just throw the ball up, he's going to make a play. He makes big play after big play after big play. And he's only in his 3rd season. Only in his 3rd season. He's an amazing route runner. He's got amazing hands. He's got great speed. He's a great contested catcher. His team is 9-2. I just think he checks every box for being the best receiver in the league right now. Those are my top 5 receivers this year. And I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover on script. One more hot take before we tune off. Terry McLaurin is a better overall receiver than CeeDee Lamb, and I said it to all the Cowboys fans. Terry McLaurin is better than CeeDee Lamb, and if Terry McLaurin had a capable quarterback for once in his life, if Terry McLaurin had Dak Prescott and he was on the Cowboys, he'd be a better receiver than CeeDee Lamb. I said it. Just wanted to throw that out there just because I wanted to. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up the NFL segment. Right after this, I'm going to record some NBA stuff, some NBA World Cup stuff. But that's it for the NFL. So much to go over, so much to talk about. Those are my lists. That's what I think. That's what's going on. So yeah, my MVP prediction is going to be Patrick Mahomes, Offensive Player of the Year, Tyreek Hill, Defensive Player of the Year, Michael Parsons, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner. Offensive Rookie of the Year, honestly, probably be Kenneth Walker. And Coach of the Year, Brian Dale. So thank you. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I will try to keep it a little short, 40 minutes. I'm all alone, and you probably get sick of hearing just my voice. So hopefully we get John on soon. But thank you for everyone for tuning in. This will be up by tomorrow, Sunday. So tune in. Enjoy your football. Great week 13. Hope your fantasy team's doing well as we're approaching the playoffs. Enjoy your football. Kick it back tomorrow. Great week 13 games. Listen to some double OT on Monday at your work or whatever you're doing. Enjoy football tomorrow. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Hope everyone's spending the holiday season with their family, having a great time. I should know I am. Hope you guys are watching some NBA as well. We'll talk about that. I hope you guys are enjoying the World Cup. It's a great time to be a sports fan. It's a great time to kick back some double OT. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully we'll be on with John soon. And have a nice day. Thank you.